Welcome in, Whisper Nation. Big Travy here with you on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon. As promised, with some posts that we put up earlier. Also, as we have said before, we're going to start going live. And here she is. Let me get her on here. Going live with Stepmom Lauren, talking AAF today. So let's get her on here. Should be just a second here as she gets there. She is. Woo! Welcome back. All tan
my head
and everything.
fits in the frame. Yeah, no, it's just a lot of makeup.
well done.
How are you doing?
I'm great, man. It's beautiful. It's starting to get a little bit warmer here in Southern California. I shouldn't complain too much because it's never really that cold, but
well, it's really dreary here in Florida, so it kind of looked like I'm in a cave of some sort, but it's not. It's daytime, sort of. Happy hour, actually.
Oh,
for me.
Right on. Lucky you.
Well, you know.
Well, we won't take too much of your time then and let you talk. We'll talk some AAF, and then you can get to sucking down some drinks, huh?
Oh, you help me talk about football, man. I'm all yours for however long. Cannot stop myself.
Sounds good. Well, as the Whisper Nation knows, maybe from last week, or maybe they don't know, this is at Stepmom Lauren on all platforms. She's going to help us talk some AAF. I don't like to use the word expert because, as Charles Barkley says, only God's an expert. But you are the closest thing we have to an expert in AAF. You are digging in and loving this sport or this league so far, and we're liking it too. So we want to try and jump on here with you and just work through these games.
Absolutely. This was a fun intro. Some of them were fun, some of them not so fun. But it was actually a pretty surprising weekend for the AAF.
Yeah, we're going to dive into some of those surprises first. Let's talk about the Memphis Express at the Orlando Apollos, your Orlando Apollos.
The most important game, might I add.
Yes, of course.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. I'm serious. I'm repping my Apollos gear, too.
Oh, wow.
Repping it.
I'm repping the Fantasy Whisperer shirt. We got to get you that gear, too.
I need one.
Yes, it's. We'll discuss that offline for sure.
Excellent. I wear an extra small. No, I don't. I'm just kidding.
One extra small. Let me jot that down. All right. So we had the Express. They visited the Apollos here. Was this was the Saturday on a Saturday game?
Yes, this was the Saturday game. Yep.
And it actually turned out to be quite a good game. 17-21 was the final score, with the Apollos staying perfect. So kind of walk us through this one and what stood out to you most here.
Well, for me, it was the adjustments at halftime for both teams. And another interesting thing is that for week 1 and week 2, the Apollos had a pretty slow start. This one was actually the first game where they put points on the board first. They got 9 points on the board early, but their offense stalled. So on the Apollo side of the ball, Steve Spurrier actually did something very un-Steve Spurrier-esque, and he really utilized Garrett Gilbert. I wish there was something more sexy about Gilbert. Can I call him like Gilberto or something?
Or
I don't know.
Gigi, or that feels like a grandma's name.
Gina, I don't know. It does sound like a grandma's name. In fact, I think that's what my granddaughters call my stepmom. Anyway, besides the point, I digress. But they really utilized him as the dual threat quarterback that he is, and maybe that not a lot of people really knew about, going into the AAF and learning about these players. So on that note, in the second half, Gilbert actually had 7 carries for 43 yards and a touchdown. And that one touchdown actually came from a 21-yard run, which I know isn't the 83-yard run that we saw, this weekend also. But that's nothing to sneeze at, and it does show that they have a versatile offense. Still the run game. They need to do something better than just running out the clock in the fourth quarter. That's just garbage.
Yeah, and they don't want to end up with Gilbert as their leading rusher.
I know, and that's kind of what we're looking at right now.
Yeah. I did want to ask you.
Are we the Seattle Seahawks, and this is Russell Wilson?
Yeah, 2 years ago, Wilson just leading the team in rushing. For fantasy purposes, that's great if you have him as your fantasy quarterback. I wanted to ask you if you think this moves him ahead, especially with Wolford's injury, as the MVP candidate for the AAF, if he starts showing some of this dual threat.
Yeah, it is very possible, especially when you consider normally it's the quarterbacks that get that prestigious MVP award, but there's so many of them. because
Right.
it's hard to take that away from Trent Richardson. So
Right.
that's
Yeah,
tough.
we'll
And
get
it's
to
still a
talking
little bit
about that.
early for me. And there have been so many changes that happen week to week that I'm just
Yeah.
not sure. It's definitely in the running, but I'm not sure yet. I want to see who
Yeah,
else we
for
can
sure.
do. Yeah. But then on the
Cool.
Memphis side of the ball, when it comes to talking about the adjustments, Singletary finally pulled Christian Hackenberg. Thank you, Jesus. So let me just give you a little bit of an idea. I mean, their offense has been stalling, not even stalling. They have done nothing since week one. He's stuck with Christian Hackenberg, which I understand it's a developmental league. You want to get him reps and experience, but at the sacrifice of winning, it's just not smart, which I want to talk about in another, game that we saw with the Legends.
Right.
Anyway, so Hackenberg in the first half was 8 for 14 with 88 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Zach Mettenberger comes in here, from the Tennessee Titans, and he just lit the place up. He infused some life into the offense and also into the defense, I think. So he had 9 for 12, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. And that's really what gave the offense that life to really surge back and almost make it a comeback victory. But it didn't happen. We still won.
Yeah, well, and I think they ran into the buzzsaw that is the Apollos right now, and it's going to be interesting to see if anybody has anything to answer for them, because they look like one of the more complete teams in this, young and small league. For me, I keep asking, what's wrong with the Express right now? They just look discombobulated every time I watch them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's any hope here, or do you think that Mettenberger is the spark that they need to kind of get it going?
Yeah. I do think that he is, and I'm actually really looking forward to see how the Express develop under this new lifeblood. Are they going to be able to continue this enthusiasm that they had, or was this just kind of a one half thing and we're going to fizzle out again? But so with such an early developmental league and with the team that was really only together for like 30 days before they had their first game, there is going to be growing pains. It just depends on how well you can bounce back and make adjustments and do something different, which they decided to finally do, and it worked. So hopefully this works moving forward, but it's definitely something interesting to keep an eye out, but I don't think they're last in the league anymore like they were before.
Yeah, we'll get to that terrible team a little bit
Oh my
later
God,
on.
I can't.
Oh, if we have time, I should say.
Right.
Maybe we'll just cut it off now. So we have next up on the slate was the Arizona Hotshots at the Salt Lake Stallions. 15-23 was the final score here, with the Stallions taking it and getting their first win. I have a truck coming by, so I apologize for the noise.
Yeah, pardon me, I'm snoring.
Yeah. Well, you would have slept through that anyways. Maybe. Yeah, this game, I tried to keep interested in it. It was not that interesting, but maybe that's what the Stallions needed. They needed to slow this Hotshots offense down in order to be able to stop them. And a guy that jumped out to me, and we'll get into more of the, some of your takes with it too, but Carter Schultz, the defensive end for the Stallions, he seems to be a game wrecker. He seems to be a guy on another level, and he's a guy that, we talk about this every week about guys we're looking to see, can they make the jump into the NFL?
Mm-hmm. He's one of them.
Schultz is a guy to watch, yeah. He had one sack and 2 solo tackles, and in the game before, he was a game wrecker as well for them, so I liked him a lot. What were some of the things you took away, when you had your eyes open for this one?
Well, I don't know about that, because the matchsticks that I had in my eyeballs actually broke and then started a fire on my cornea. It was hard. I literally had to watch this game 3 times. Yeah,
Can you see me right now?
I can't, but I'm pretending like I can, and I can really sell it. But really, for me, I was very surprised at the Hotshots kind of nothingness. In the first half, they didn't have a single third down conversion. And as much of a power team as they were coming into this week, that really surprised me. So was that just them meh? Or was this the Stallions being like, hey, we're here to play? Was it something I'm not really quite sure. But the player that stood out to me the most actually didn't really get a ton of hype, but it's Brandon Oliver. I love those smaller running backs that just don't care, and they're just going to shove it down your throat. It doesn't matter if they're 5'7" and weigh 204 pounds. I'm going to score a touchdown on you, and you're going to like it. I love those players, and he really stood out to me. Very Darren Sproles-esque. I thought it was great. Yeah,
and he's a guy who played for the Chargers. Sproles started his career for the Chargers. Oliver kind of mimicked that same role and was successful with the Chargers in short relief for guys like Melvin Gordon during his injury. And so you look at a guy like Oliver, and he's another guy you root for to maybe get another shot in the league.
Right.
Any news on Wolford that you've heard? I've been reading online all day, and they still just call it an apparent upper body injury, and I can't see
Yeah.
Yeah, I
See,
can't
from
see
what
what's
I
going on.
knew, what I understood, I think it's a hand injury because you could hear him talking at the end of the game because, all the quarterbacks are mic'd
He's
up, and he
mic'd
was
up,
saying he
yeah.
banged up his thumb was banged up. So, I mean, that's kind of very hockey league to just generalize a hand injury as an upper
Yeah.
body injury.
Yeah, it's
The NHL does that all the time. But I
yeah.
haven't heard any news on him whatsoever, and that was a devastating blow for the Hot Shots. Because when was it Trevor Knight comes in? That's the backup, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember who it is. Yeah, Trevor Knight. He
Yeah,
was
Trevor
so
Knight.
hyped up. Yeah, he was really hyped up, and people were surprised he didn't get the starting position. But once you saw him play after Wolford went out, you kind of see why he didn't get the starting spot. But it really did hurt them that he got injured, and so we'll see how they can, scheme and game plan around him moving forward. Hopefully, Wolford's not out for very long because I think that's going to really hurt the Hot Shots offense.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit earlier about that MVP candidate, and Wolford was really
Oh yeah,
lighting the
he
league
was
on
high.
fire. 6
Yep.
touchdowns coming in, and made it 7 in this game, and then he got hurt. So obviously we want to watch that. Another thing I'd like to watch with this Hot Shots team is it looked like the Stallions' defensive line was really taking over this game in parts, and even Sean O'Hara on the broadcast was talking about it. He said, you've got to be assigned to your gaps here a little bit better, and they were just allowing all sorts of pass rush in there. If they continue that, they could slip down in the ranks here from a team that started off hot at 2-0.
Well, you know how Sean O'Hara loves his offensive line, so
Yeah.
leave it to him to just pick up when they're doing super well and when they're not doing so well, and be able to really pick out what the weaknesses are. I love Sean O'Hara. He's fabulous.
Yeah. Him and MJD on the call, that was a great combo.
Yeah.
They kind of kept an uninteresting game somewhat interesting.
Oh, that was the only reason why sometimes I would poke up an eyelid in the first half. But, yeah, I mean, MJD just kills it. And shockingly, Marvin Lewis. I did not like him week 1.
Yeah,
He's grown on me, man. They banter back and forth. But, I mean, it's hard with Dan Hellie not to. The three of them are really good. But that, again, I digress. I do that a lot.
Yeah,
Welcome to my husband's life. I feel really bad for him.
Well, he's got to be a capable man. You're keeping him around, so.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's my boo.
Right on.
Love you, honey.
Well, our next game was one of these powerhouse teams in the Birmingham Iron. They visited the Atlanta Legends, and now they moved to 3-0. We're talking about it here, and the Legends 0-3. So we're going to talk about your boy a little bit here, and Trent Richardson. Lay it on the people. You're making the case as strong as anyone I can see online that
I do like him.
He needs to be back in the NFL.
I do like him a lot. I really hope that his previous domestic violence issues are behind him. I think everybody deserves a second chance. I understand. I think his departure from the NFL was because of injury and all that kind of stuff, but he's really putting his work into it. He had a post-game interview where he says he's doing this for his kids. He's extremely articulate. He's wonderful. Look, he looks like Marshawn Lynch. He runs like Marshawn Lynch. He has dreads like Marshawn Lynch. Thank God he doesn't interview like Marshawn Lynch. Otherwise, then I'd be like, no, I'm good. But, I mean, in this game, he doubled his career touchdowns just in this game. So he scored, what are the numbers here? 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, 3 were from this game. He's got 6 total on the year. The guys had 59 carries, 145 yards. I'm fine with the touchdowns, Lauren. I give you that. I love the touchdowns. My problem is this yard per carry at 2.5. Yeah. I don't know if they've played a ton of strong defensive lines and he's just got a nose for the end zone, or is he going to be a guy that
I think it's the way that they play him.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's the way that they play him.
In.
And it could be that too, because, I mean, just like you said. So, I mean, so he had his 3 touchdowns. He doubled his career. He had 46 yards on 17 carries. You would really think that yardage is going to be a heck of a lot higher, but does it really matter if he's got these 3 touchdowns in there? And are they really just kind of showing him like this? And then maybe a couple weeks later, when they try to bottle him up just in that end zone area, he comes running out and busts off an 83-yard run that we saw. It's still so young, but I don't know if it's really a problem quite yet. He's just, I mean, you can just tell he's a beast. And he runs like one. So even though it's short yardage, even though it's a lot of carries for shorter yards, he makes them count.
Yeah, and listen, you said it right. You said it 100% right there when you're saying that it doesn't matter yet because of these touchdowns he's piling up. I mean, 3 games, 6 touchdowns, that's 2 a game. If you're a fantasy owner from that perspective, you're okay with that production. So as long as he gets to the next game and maybe he doesn't score, but he's putting up 100 yards, you're going to be all right with that kind of production.
Yep.
And he seems to be the engine that makes this Birmingham Iron team run. They seem to be what is the tough-nosed, hard, old-school football team of the AAF. Play defense, run the rock.
Yep.
So they seem to be an exciting 3-0. So, you know, I know that you noted here and you're excited to see them go up against your Apollos in week 5. I'm excited too. My thing is that they're kind of conflicting styles, right? Apollos are this high flyer. Birmingham's kind of this shut down defense. I mean, it's going to be pretty exciting stuff.
So it's either going to be the most epic battle ever, or it could be a total blowout. I mean, I don't know. But I'm kind of scared because right when those numbers are there for it to be ripe to be X, Y, and Z, it goes the other way.
Right.
As fantasy players, we know that the numbers could be absolutely perfect, and then it just goes the opposite. So I think against the Apollos, it's really going to have to showcase Birmingham's secondary. So how good are they really? Because they haven't played a team like the Apollos yet.
Right.
So we're going to see. And then Luis Perez, my boo now that he was a St. Louis reject, and there's Rams all over the place. It's everywhere. Everywhere. But, you know, they're Rams cast-off. So, you know what, San Diego? I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah, well, you know, when the Rams are so good, Lauren, there's not enough roster spots in the NFL for them to be. So
LA has like 3,000 teams. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just bitter.
On a side note here, I just got an update this morning that my Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles, or whatever 8 names they have, they want to move them to Long Beach. So I don't know what's going on out here anymore. We just moved.
I need to talk to Adam Rank about that. He loves his Angels.
Yeah, so
I don't think he cares.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're in the greater area. It will be
as long as they haven't, left and gone to St. Louis, then he would have a serious issue. But But another interesting name to note too for the defense on the Birmingham Iron is Jamar Summers. So week 1 and week 2, he only cornerback, I believe, safety or cornerback, I'm not sure which one. He only allowed 1 catch in 2 weeks. That's crazy. And then in this game, he also had an interception. So that is a big name to look at. He might be the defensive player of the week for week 3 if they haven't named one already.
Okay. So do we think that, I mean, you're looking at this as if you had to rate the teams now, do you take the Iron or do you take the Apollos? And you have to take your homerism out of this. So I got to have you completely neutral here.
I take the Iron. And the reason why is because I think they have a more well-rounded offense, because the Apollos just really need to work on their run game. And you really need to have both your passing game and your running game, as well as your offense and your defense. They have to be on point. And even though Luis Perez hasn't actually thrown a touchdown yet, he still has not done that yet, which is shocking. They have an excellent running game, obviously. And he's a gunslinger also, even though it hasn't found the end zone. It's just a matter of time. That's why I'm really nervous for us to play the Birmingham Iron, because I do think that they are a more powerful team than the Apollos, but just by a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, okay. A confident yet humble stepmom Lauren here with her analysis.
Yeah,
I love it.
And the Atlanta Legends, I have no idea why they did not pull Sims out of the game. They just kept with him in there.
Yeah.
3 interceptions. He literally threw the football into the back of a defender. Like, hit him in the numbers. And I'm pretty sure that all of his wide receivers slathered their hands and their gloves and their chest in Crisco before the game, because the word of that game was incomplete. Incomplete passes. It was just disgusting. And the first half started off pretty good, but the second half, it was cringe. Like, no, I can't. Turn it off. I can't. It was awful.
Yeah, and like you talked about it a little bit just there. Like, why didn't they bench him? Why didn't they turn? Kevin Coyle is the head coach here for the Legends. Are we looking at a situation where we could have our first head coach on the hot seat? I mean, you look at the Legends, actually, I think have Michael Vick on the staff as an offensive coordinator. Could we see him usurp here and maybe move on?
And that was interesting about it. I read a couple different things about that, because I think he turned down the offensive coordinating position.
Oh, he did? Okay.
I think he did before the season. That's why it was so weird that he put the ball at the half line. But I could be wrong. Michael Vick isn't exactly one of my favorite people in the world.
Yeah.
I don't usually pay attention to him all that much.
Right.
But, I mean, it's very possible we could have that. And I get the whole idea that it's a developmental league again, and we really want to try to get these players snaps. But, again, not at the sacrifice of winning. And especially when you have a quarterback like Aaron Murray, or anyone for that matter, to take over the position and at least infuse some life, just like what happened with the Memphis Express. Why not do it? I don't
we'll see.
get it.
We'll see this week of preparation too. You start 0-3, you're going to have to make some noise sooner or later. Maybe they look to him there. And, the other thing is, we've got to preach a little bit of patience still. I know we get frustrated because we want to see that action. We're talking about a developmental league. That means developmental for the coaches and for the GMs too. So these are guys that, obviously are football minds, but maybe aren't ready for that top tier level yet. So we'll just see.
And another disappointing thing about that game was this was Atlanta's first home game. And that just stinks. When you really want to try to get energetic, excitement and enthusiasm for this league, and then you play like that at your first home game, it's like, ooh, especially when they were touted as being one of the better teams in the AAF. So that was disappointing for the fans. And I know they're disappointed too. So I'm sure there's going to be some adjustments. And if they're not, then, wow, we're going to have some issues with the Legends.
So we'll just see, what happens with the Legend. Who blinks first, the Legends or the Memphis Express, as the for sure bottom rung of this league?
I'm pretty sure there has been many a blinking already going on, because it sure isn't Memphis anymore. It's the Legends.
It's just one constant blink by the Legends.
Yeah, it is. It's
so our last game on the docket, as you guys know, there's only 8 teams in this league, 4 games every weekend, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. The last game was the San Antonio Commanders at the San Diego Fleet. San Antonio was looking to bounce back here after they suffered that loss at the hands of your Apollos. They were none able to do so as the Fleet defeated them 31-11. What do you have to say about this rematch, Lauren? What really caught your eye here?
I was surprised. I thought it was going to be a similar game than week 1, which is a little bit more low scoring. And I was shocked by the Fleet. The Fleet really showed up. And that was something that was like, okay, I'm going to take you a little bit more seriously now. And then because I was super excited about the Commanders. We talked about it. And I was kind of disappointed with their play. But again, still a young team. Was it an off day? We'll see. But for the Fleet, just really quick, Philip Nelson back. And he was supposed to be the third, and he ended up earning the start because this is the AAF, and that pissed off to be the starting quarterback, and it showed. He played great. I just wanted to make that note because I like him a lot. I like them underdogs.
Philip Nelson rant's gonna go viral here by Stepmom Lauren. We love it.
Yeah, I love it. And then all the Nelsons and Phillips and Williams and Wolfer, Rettenberger, Zattenberger, whatever. It's just, oh my gosh, it's so confusing because his number 1 baby was Nelson Spruce Tree. No, it was not Tree. I just added that in there. But it was Nelson Spruce, another Rams cast off because of injury, and Mike Martz, St. Louis Rams head coach. They're everywhere, Travis. I can't get away. But he even said that if Spruce hadn't gotten hurt and they let him go, they probably never would have picked up Cooper Kupp, which is so interesting that I heard that because he really reminded me, Spruce reminded me a lot of Cooper Kupp. If he plays that same way, and it seems like he and Philip Nelson have a lot of chemistry going on between them.
Yeah, you have that, low yardage, not terribly high yardage and 50 yards, but 2 touchdowns. So he's that red zone guy for this team.
Yep.
And that's what Cooper Kupp is. He's that safety blanket in the red zone. Just a guy I'm super excited about to get back for the Rams next year. But yes, I'm excited to watch.
One of my favorite fantasy players.
Oh, yeah. Just a great all-around player in general. He does all the dirty work. He reminds me of a Wes Welker or an Amendola or some of these slot wide receivers. So, listen, the Fleet were the team I wanted to kind of hang my hat on this year. I haven't officially put that out there, but after this showing, they've really got my attention, and they're the most local team that I have here. Anything to watch for with those going forward? Just the development of Philip Nelson, I guess, going forward, and to see if he can remain successful.
There's also another one. Jaquan Gardner is another one of those small running backs to keep out for. So it's funny during the game because MJD was also the commentator on that game as well. And it was MJD Jr. It was literally like watching little MJD. And they had such fun with it in the commentating booth. It was hilarious. Yeah, it was really good. And Marvin Lewis was all in on it. It was great. But he was awesome. So they really showcased that they've got a running game. Philip Nelson can pass the ball. You've got wide receivers such as Nelson Spruce. So they're one of those that was a surprise coming into it. Also, their defense was awesome. So those are ones that are going to be, I think that team is going to be crawling up ranks a lot faster than I think we all anticipated, or even at all. So I'm looking forward to them too. I think that is going to be one of the more similar components to the Orlando Apollos, except they have a better run game. So whereas Birmingham Iron are kind of the opposites, I think that's going to be a clash of points whenever they play. I'm excited.
Cool. Well, we'll be on the lookout for that. Any plans this weekend for the next slate of games you want to tell the Whisper Nation about?
Well, actually, I don't even know because I'm going to be in Mexico, man.
Oh, wow.
I know, but
in.
week 5, I know. My first world problems, my life is hard. But week 5, though, is when Birmingham plays the Apollos, and that is going to be my sit down with the popcorn. Nobody talk to me. Leave me alone for my game. That is going to be mine. What are you looking forward to this weekend?
My biggest one will be kind of just watching this Iron team. I want to get a feel of them. We've talked about how, we have a friend, Danny, if he's watching, Dan Thrasher, he works for the Birmingham Iron. So I get a little insight every day on his Instagram stories, and he kind of updates us. You can follow him at Danny Thrasher. Basically, I just want to get a feel for them and see if they can kind of get it all together on both sides of the ball. And continue to dominate this league. And if Richardson, I really want to get a beat on Richardson because now enough noise on ESPN with Stepmom Lauren on CBS about Trent Richardson getting into the NFL again. I want to see with my own eyes here and really dissect that yards per carry and see, is it because he's stuttering at the line or is it because of the way they're using him, like we've said? So
right, and he does pass the eyeball test. And actually, now that I mentioned that, not Trent Richardson. It is the Fleet play Apollos this weekend, right?
Oh, nice.
I think they do. I'm recording. I'm recording all those games, so when I get back, I'll be able to watch them. But I think they play because since they just had this huge victory, now they're going to go up against the Apollos. So I'm actually interested to see. Hopefully, they lose because I want the Apollos to win, of course. But I'm interested to see how they're going to use that momentum and follow it into week 4, push it into week 4.
I might just
and same thing with Memphis.
I might just have to put my stamp on the Fleet since they're playing your Apollos this week.
Do it.
To get that upset. Yeah. Maybe we'll have some tweet offs.
We'll get angrily tweeting.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Lauren, we want to thank you so much. And once again, tell the Whisper Nation how they can get a hold of you and follow you, get some of that great content you do.
Of course, I definitely will. Stepmom Lauren, and my name is Lauren. Stepmom Lauren across all platforms. Twitter.com, Stepmom Lauren. Facebook.com, Stepmom Lauren. Instagram, Stepmom Lauren. You can find me at Stepmom Lauren. Pretty much everywhere.
Right on. Stay consistent.
And I'm also, I have a article coming that's already out right now on Fake Pigskin that is a recap of the 4 games that we just talked about.
Perfect.
So if you're interested in diving a little bit more into it, it's on Fake Pigskin.
Yeah.
It's called the AAF Week 3 Roundup, where I go in and I also share my sources on where I pulled certain information. And again, during the 2019 regular season, I'll be in Adam Rank's live Facebook page that he turns into a podcast. He does a live feed, and I answer fantasy football start and sits for him. Help him out a little bit in the comment section.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate you helping us out here. I know the Whisper Nation does for sure. And we'll talk to you next week about week 4 AAF action. I'm excited.
That's right. Actually, you won't be talking to me next week. I'll be sipping a cocktail on the beach.
Man, I'm really trying to get upset over here.
I know.
I'll be
I just
stuck
have to
at work.
Rub it in. I've got salt and the lemon back there. I can just rub it in the wound for you if you want.
Oh, man, that's terrible. You'll rub it in your margarita. That's what you'll be rubbing in. Yes.
And thank you, Whisper Nation, for putting up with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. We love you. Well, we appreciate you, and have a great day.
Yeah, you do the same.
Bye.
Bye.